Hello and welcome to the Knock on KCLR Sports weekly rugby podcast, where we catch up with Carlow, Kilkenny and Tullow rugby clubs and keep an eye on the Leinster League, the Towns Cup, youths, ladies and everything else in between. A bit of chat about Leinster, Munster and Ireland as well. James Blanchfield, Tom Crotty and Paddy Browne are here as they are every week. How are you lads?
Hi Stephen.
Hi everyone. How are you doing?
All good, lads. We're right in the thick of it now at the moment. Leinster are in the thick of it as well, and we're not far off Six Nations and all that, but the local stuff is the important stuff at the moment. We're not a million miles away from the Towns Cup either, but we're all out in action last weekend. Paddy will probably kick off with you today, and we'll talk about Tullow. 1 second there now. Technology, lads, is great. It's great when it works. Paddy, Tullamore, you were at home to them at the weekend. You weren't a million miles off them, I suppose, but another defeat, not a nice one.
Yeah, in the end, we weren't too far off, but the score in no way reflects the game, really. We spoke here last week of having 5 games left, and if we're to try and avoid second from bottom and therefore avoid a promotion relegation playoff, we're going to need to pick up a few wins along the way. Now, we didn't know where we stood with Tullamore. They certainly had improved a bit since we played them in nearly the first round of the season or the second round, when they beat us by a last kick of the game and a penalty. They were a good bit ahead of us this time, I'm afraid. And while I say the final score, we actually went in happy because, would you believe, with 10 minutes into the second half, the score was 32-7, and they had scored 5 tries at that stage, and we had scored 1. And whether it was complacency on their behalf, they did make a few changes, but Tullow came right back into it and got three more tries, and the final score was 28-35. But we had tries from Stephen Smith, from Corey Hughes, and 2 from Ezra Vai. And you know, the fourth try was actually, there was still 6 or 7 minutes on the clock, so the tries came thick and fast when we started scoring. But I suppose the good news was we got within 32-27, and Tullamore were very worried at that stage because they thought we might go up, and they got a kickable penalty out near the halfway line, but in the centre of the pitch. And you know, if they wanted to put us away altogether, they would have gone for the corner, but they didn't. They went for the points, which meant that the final score was 35-28. So, given that we had scored the 4 tries, and we ended up within 7 points of them, we got 2 bonus points. And if you had said to me at 10 minutes into the second half, you might end up with 2 bonus points, I would have taken hand and all. So At the end of it, we were happy enough to get the 2 bonus points. But having said that, the overall performance wasn't up to scratch, and it won't be good enough to get us out of second place from the bottom. As I said last week, the table is shaping up. There's only 4 matches left now, and you know, Setonians and Byrne are there at the top. Wexford are probably not going to catch any of the rest of us. So it's kind of, for second bottom, it's still looking between Wicklow, Athy and ourselves and Tullow. And we're 3 points behind the Athy, who didn't pick up anything at the weekend, and Wicklow picked up 2 points. So we're staying 4 points behind them. And we still have Wicklow to play at home 2 weeks game's time. So yeah, we had a few lads back as well that had been out injured. We've had Martin Cole was back. He didn't start, but he came on, and he needs to get match fit, but he's a very important player to us. And we also had Colin Gorey back, and Corey, young Kyo and Bucko Kyo. So they were all back, and it's good to see those lads coming back. But they're not fully fit yet, and they need a few more matches. So yeah, that's where we stand now. 3 points behind Athy and 4 points behind Wicklow. I know Athy are playing Tullamore away next week, and that'll be an interesting one from our point of view. Of course, we'd like to be up something too, and I wouldn't be overconfident after last week. But you never know. We're away to Seapoint, and we have a pretty good record against Seapoint. In Seapoint, we've beaten them up there and drawn with them. So while they're a good few points ahead of us in the table, I think they're on 30. They weren't convincing last week. They scraped over Wexford. So it's very hard to know. It's a very strange league. Results can go in all directions. And I think we'll hear from Pam and James the same could happen in Division 1B. So I suppose that's the beauty of the leagues, that the teams are fairly well matched all around. So that's where we stand. And so we're going to Seapoint on Saturday at 2:30, first and seconds. And I suppose more in hope than in expectation. But look, we would all to play for, in the sense of trying to avoid that second from bottom spot. So that's where we are. Our seconds put out a pretty good team on paper and did stay with Tullamore for a good while, but Tullamore were way too strong in the end, and the final score there was 54-17. I probably should have mentioned the lineup for the first. As well, I saw the full back was Adam Johnson. The three-quarter line was Scott O'Sullivan-Mania, Dara Cosgrave, Ryan Kernan and Jack Hanlon. Halves were Peter Burgess and Ryan O'Neill. The front row, Scott Paulback, Corey Hughes and Tom Cashin. Second row, Joe Waters, Tom Hughes. And the back row, Ezra Vai, James O'Brien and Stephen Smith. And the subs were Colin Gorey, Brian Keogh, Jack MacDonald, Martin Cole and Paul Canavan. So that's the first men. Our senior ladies. We spoke here last week about that top division in the AIL women is there's two divisions within it, and Tullow have been quite competitive against the sort of the lower half of teams. And of course, when you come up against who they're up against next week, which is UL Bohs and the likes of Galwegians and Railway Union, they are in a kind of a different league and would have several former internationals and top-class interprovincial players in their ranks. So they went to Wicklow last Saturday and stayed competitive for a long time and enjoyed the game. The final score, Wicklow pulled away a little bit in the end, and the final score was 38-10. They are home next Saturday to UL Bohemians, which are one of the leading lights in that division, and that is at 5:00 on the 3G pitch in Tullow on Saturday. So as I said, the first and seconds are away. The men are away to Seapoint, and the ladies are home to UL Bohemians. The way the division is hoping, the girls would dearly love to have another year up there. One team goes down, and I'm told by those who know that the final game of the season against Cook will be hosting Cook from Belfast, and that game up there was very, very close. So if we managed to win that game, we would have a chance of staying up. So that's the final game on the 21st of March. So it's all maybe boiling down to that. So that's the senior teams. Of the junior teams, then we had a few cancellations, and it wasn't the greatest weekend ever for the club. We had overall 2 wins out of 8 matches, and while our youths, and I've been talking about it recently, our youths have been going very well, all the results didn't go our way last weekend. Our 13 boys had probably the strongest result of them all. They went up to they hosted a very strong Navan team, and it was a grading match for the Leinster League, and it was a very high scoring, entertaining match. They came out on top 55 points to 44 against Navan. The under 14 points boys were well beaten in the Leinster Premier League match by Gorey, 46 points to 19. The under 14 girls, the Rhinos, had a good win over the Ravens in the Division 2 league. Our under 16 boys were to play Carlow, and that match was postponed. The under 16 girls lost narrowly to Arklow, the Rhinos, 36-30 in a Premier Division match. Dundalk 17's the match against Tullow was postponed. Our under 18 boys, fresh after their big win in the Southeast Cup final, went out rather tamely to Gorey, 19 points to 17, and that was a bit of a surprise given the form they had shown in previous weeks. So it just shows you can't be complacent, and you can always get a kick up the backside. The under 18 girls match against the Panthers was postponed. So as I said, not the best weekend ever. 2 wins out of 8. Looking forward to the weekend coming, a very busy weekend. Starting off on Saturday, the under 14 boys are home to Dundalk. The Rhinos are home to Seapoint, under 14 Rhinos. The under 15 boys are home to Mullingar, and under 16 boys are away to Portarlton. They're all on Saturday. Or 17 boys have no match. The 18 Rhinos are away to Athy, and that's a Premier Leinster League match. As I said already, our women are home to UL Bohs at 5 o'clock on Saturday, and the two men's teams, first and seconds, are away to Seapoint. On Sunday then we have two matches. The under 16 Rhinos are away to Portlaoise in the Leinster League, and the under 18 boys will be looking to recover a bit of lost pride when they are away in a friendly to Portarlington at 1 p.m. on Sunday. So that's the situation. All eyes on Seapoint from the men's point of view, and a full schedule of underage matches over the course of the weekend. So that's it, Stephen, from Tullow.
Good stuff, Paddy. Thanks for that. Yeah, tough weekend, Paddy, but these happen, and see what you can get out of Dublin at the weekend and go from there. And all else fails, concentrate on the cup for the year.
Yeah, we're looking at the cup. We would buy in the first round, and it's Sunday week, so we'll be keenly watching that one and hoping for a favourable draw to try and get our season back on court. I mean, Ascas, we had this conversation the last few years since I started doing the podcast, and a couple of the years anyway. The post-Christmas period saw a bit of a recovery from maybe some poor results before Christmas, and oftentimes the cup can give the bit of the rise, particularly if you get a game against Carlow or Kilkenny or Athy or something like that. An old cup match gets the blood coursing through the veins, and it's hopefully the same will happen this spring.
Absolutely, Paddy. Good stuff. Tom, you didn't get the email about wearing your club top today, no?
No.
Paddy was the only one that listened.
I'm trying to set the tone for future podcasts here, Stephen. So just take note, please.
Very formal.
James is in the yeah, good stuff, Paddy. Looking very, very smart. So we'll move on then. Kilkenny or Carlow? Who wants to go first?
Sure, I'll rock in there if that's okay.
Yeah, in there, James. You were out the weekend as well. Mullingar came to town.
Mullingar, yeah. Like, we don't want to say it, but we can nearly. There's such positivity around the group, even regardless of the league position. There's such positivity around the group. You can nearly hear the Great Escape theme music in the back of your head. I was in the club last night, just doing a little bit, and I was looking over at the first and seconds training, and there was probably 40 plus players on the pitch. Such energy, such positivity in the group. So the fight for survival in the division is still on. Nobody has given up, and it's in our own hands. We have 4 league fixtures left. Clondalkin, Ashbourne, De La Salle and Carlow on our last game, and the lads aren't going to lie down. We know the importance of staying in 1B. So look at that's I suppose the great. It started this last weekend against Mullingar. I speak a lot about positivity at the moment, but you knew from the minute you arrived in the club last Sunday something was going to happen, or last Saturday something good was going to happen, because you could just feel it. You could see the lads in their warm-up. Sometimes I think Tom and Paddy might say the same. Sometimes when you arrive at the club, you just you see the lads doing their warm-up. You feel the level of intensity that they have about them. So, but saying that, after 5 minutes we went 7-0 down, completely fell asleep and let them in for a all-over try. But from then on forward, it was I won't say it was one-way traffic, but we got our act together, even though we made awful hard work of it in the first half. We did get a bonus point in the end, but we probably should have gotten our bonus point by half time, which I'll get onto in a minute. So we started with a very strong team, probably I would say one of the strongest teams we've had of the season, with Josh Evans, Ben Devlin, Brian Howe in the front row, Wes Carter and Johnny Young in the second row, and a back row of Jason Conley, Gary Dunn and Harry Prinius. Half backs were Aaron Askins and Aidan MacDonald. In the centre, we had Mark Coughlin and James Davey. On the one wing, we had Aaron Askins. On the other wing, we had Tommy Murphy. Or not Aaron Askins. On one wing, we had Conor Walsh, who has just come back to us after a very brief stint with Clonmel. On the other wing, we had Tommy Murphy, and full back, we had Podge Mahan. So a very seasoned, very well-experienced team, but a lot of youth scattered through it as well. As I said, they started very slowly, giving Mullingar an early 7-point lead, and probably a deserved 7-point lead as well, that we made it a little bit easy for them in the opening 10 minutes. But then Mullingar got a yellow card, and we kind of got going then, so Ben Devlin brought it to 7-all with an Aaron Askins penalty. And Mullingar, as I said, got the yellow card, but it went in 10-7 at half-time. Whatever Corey and Wes said at half-time seemed to work, because we began to play and make things easier for ourselves and started stretching Ashbourne and playing the width of the pitch, or Ashbourne, Mullingar. And Wes Carter got a try, which was converted by an Aaron Askins. A few minutes later, James Davey got a very, very good score to get over and make it 21-10, with Aaron again getting the conversion. I just want to comment on James Davies' try, because any other player would have gone to ground, but he broke 3 tackles on the way over it. And on the final tackle, he probably 7 meters out and just drove his legs and pumped his legs till such time as the Mullingar tackler fell off and James got in under the posts to make it 21-10. Then we kind of hit a little bit of a disciplinary implosion, and we got 2 yellow cards, one for Brian Howe and one for Wes Carter, in a very short period of time. At that stage, then we actually lost. We made some substitutions as well. So we had Brian Howe and Wes Carter on the sideline, but then we also substituted Gary Dunn, Ben Devlin, and Jason Connolly. So most of our experience was on the bench or on the sideline, but quickly after getting the yellow cards, Corey just changed things around and brought on a few of the lads again. But while we were down to the 13, Mullingar did get a try to make it 21-17. So there was a little bit of nail biting going on from our side, because we know the importance of that game, of maximizing our points to try and get the bonus point as well. Luckily, we got that through an Aidan MacDonald converted try at the end to make it 28-17. Now, in the closing 7 or 8 minutes, Mullingar did absolutely everything they could to get a score back to close the gap for them to get a bonus point, which they didn't. So from our perspective, it was a 5-point maximum victory. Mullingar got nothing out of it, which subsequently closes the gap on us and Mullingar. So we're second from bottom on 18 points. Mullingar are third from bottom on 23 points. Mullingar do have to face Dundalk this weekend. We have Clondalkin at home, so we're hoping that those results go in our favour and that we can maximise again, maximise our points again to try and get 5 points there, to hopefully, working on the assumption that Mullingar don't get anything against Dundalk, that we could end up the weekend level on points at Mullingar. And coming into the final 3 games, then it's all to play for, So we'll have, after that, we'll have Ashbourne, we'll have De La Salle, Palmerstown, and we'll have Carlow away. So look, we're just hoping to maximise our points between now and the end of the season. But look, as I said, I was in the club last night. The lads are just working so hard, and we're hoping that we can keep everybody fit. Disappointingly, Joe Manuel probably had a season-ending injury on Saturday when he came on as a sub. He was on the pitch literally 40 seconds, and he was carried off the pitch on crutches, which wasn't nice for a guy who's given the club so much. But look, at Joe has a history of getting injured and recovering quickly. So we'll see what happens. Our seconds had a strong win, good home win, 40 points to 8 over Mullingar as well, with scores coming from across the board from Rory O'Carroll, Caleb Hogan-Eyre, Sean Flynn, I think, got a score as well. So look, it was a good win for the seconds. Really, the really positive thing about the seconds is when you looked across the pitch, there was many of last year's and the year before's under 18s in the team. So that's great to see that they're kind of getting through. But many of them are still kind of away in college, so it's kind of hit and miss when they'll be there. They'll probably be there for a home fixture, but we might miss them for an away fixture, so to speak. But irrespective of that, kind of, we're under no illusion of what's going to come at us this weekend. We beat Clondalkin away in the last time we beat them. A game we had signed, sealed and delivered with 20 minutes to go, where the score was 33 points, I think, to 7. And it ended up 33 points to 30. So we had an implosion against them the last day. So we're under no illusion of what they're going to be like coming down here. They're probably Clondalkin are probably targeting Sunday as a game where they feel they can get something out of it. So we can be in no illusions that we need to be very on point. The lads need to probably be better than they were last weekend, and they were quite good last weekend, because they are going to target us. But if we can just get the 5 points under our belt, it looks like we have a full bill of health, barring Joey. So look at it bodes well, but I do think that the home support last Saturday in Fookstown helped the lads as well. They really fed off the energy. The sideline was just, there was a lot of noise and a lot of support for them. So we're really hoping that we can just get another 5 points in the bag this weekend. But as I said, we'll take a win. Our women's team, sadly, their game was postponed last weekend due to the bereavement of one of the players' fathers. But that's been rearranged for this week against South East Lions in the Leinster League. So that's going to be an important game for us, because our women's team are currently on 34 points in Division 3, leading the division, but South East Lions are 2 points behind. So it's probably a league decider of a game. So we'll just see what happens there. But speaking to Julian, Hughes and Joey, they seem to have a fairly good bill of health in terms of the playing group that they're going to have to bring forward to that game. So so fingers crossed the women can get a win. Both men's J1s and J2s can get a win. Like what Paddy was saying, a lot of games fell to the weather last weekend again. So I think only under 16 girls game went ahead. They had a very strong win away to Clontarf, which was 37 points to 22. So the coaching group there are quite happy with that. So let me get this weekend's youths fixtures up. Actually, I have them here. Where are they? Further down. This weekend again, it's full bill of fixtures. So home fixtures this Saturday is our under 16 boys are at home to Enniscorthy in the Leinster League, or Eden Derry in the Leinster League. That's kick-off at 12 p.m. The under 14 girls have Clane in the Kilkenny again at 12 p.m. And the under 14 boys have Mullingar in Kilkenny at 1:30 p.m. on Saturday. On Saturday, away fixtures, youths, under 16 girls away to Tullamore. Under 18 boys are on the road to Skerries. And under 18 girls are the long trip up to play Carlingford Knights in the Leinster League. So it's a new club on me, but best of luck to the teams travelling. And then on Sunday, obviously, we have the seconds at home to Clondalkin. Kickoff there is at 1 p.m. First 15, again, home to Clondalkin, kickoff at 2 p.m. And as I said, the women are on the road down to Enniscorthy to play South East Lions, will kick off there at 1 p.m. So it's all to play for all teams this weekend. Speaking to our under-18 coaches last night, albeit it was a slow beginning to the season for them in terms of getting players back from GAA and so forth. We're now in a position where we probably have a full under-18s and a full under-17s team as well. So Sean, Barry, Tom and the coaching group there for the under-18s will have a lot of headaches this week in terms of picking teams because they have huge numbers there. So yeah, I would just ask everybody to try and get out to the club on Sunday to support the firsts, or anyone that's travelling to Enniscorthy to support the women as well. Just, I suppose, support the club as we always do. And fingers crossed, you never know, some great things could happen in the closeout of the season, because I think, Paddy, you are right. I think when we turn into the turn after Christmas into the new year, there always seems to be a little bit of a pickup in things, doesn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. The business end of the season, as they call it.
That's it. I kind of think Towns Cup fever comes in as well. The Towns Cup draws in, and I always feel that the Towns Cup brings a kind of, when Towns Cup comes to town, it brings a different kind of energy, doesn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I was talking to the Tullamore boys last week, and it's interesting you said that, James, because they're after doing their stint up in up in the AIL, and they said the one thing they missed, well, for the few years they're up there, and it's probably 6 or 7 years now, they missed the Towns Cup. There's no cup competition in the AIL, and the league matches are of the only thing of any importance. So they're relishing the Towns Cup because they've a pretty proud Towns Cup record too. So yeah, that's interesting what you said there, and we heard it from Tullamore last week.
But if I'm right, Tullamore, the year they went senior, they actually did win the Towns Cup that year as well, if I'm correct.
They did, yeah. They beat us in the semi-final. You're dead right.
Yeah.
They had gone up, but they were still allowed play in it. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a very good team. But funnily enough, they lost a good few of that team then to Monkstown the following season.
Okay.
Had a number 8 Hanley, and I think that a scrum half Hughes are the two names I remember, who both didn't want to play IL rugby, so they went up and played junior with Monkstown.
Okay, right.
Anyway, that's it from Kilkenny, lads.
Good stuff, James. Thanks a million for that one. Tom, Crotty, Carlow. Things going fairly okay from a Carlow point of view. You were favourites, I suppose, for that trip for that game against Clondalkin, and good old score, 40-17 there as well. So, job done.
Yeah, job done. I'm not going to go into a whole lot about it because it was sort of, from our behalf, it was kind of one of those games where I think there was a bit of complacency going into it, maybe because we had beaten them well in Carlow. And I think after playing such a good game in Tullow as well that day, I think there was a bit of complacency. Definitely got into heads. It took us about a quarter of an hour to get our first score. We just weren't firing on all cylinders. We let Clondalkin straight back in with a try after us scoring our first score. We finished off the first half. We hadn't believed you would have expected to get our bonus with the way we had been playing. You would have expected to have a bonus point done and dusted in the first half, but we went in at half time 21-5. And I think it took us another quarter of an hour to get nearly a quarter of an hour to get our bonus point. Look, it's not taken away from Clondalkin. They threw the kitchen sink at us and played quite well. But in the game, we got a yellow card and then followed by a red card. Now the red card was justified. The only thing I would be a bit kind of, it's not the first time this season I've seen is players coming into rucks completely flying off their feet. Their number 3, I mean, is a huge man, came flying. Was involved in a couple of things leading up to the red card. And one of the things we looked in the video was that he just come in completely sideways into a ruck, and it was a good thing the player had just kind of stepped away, because if he hadn't stepped away, he would have been absolutely clean. Like, he was completely off his feet, and then it led into a crock roll, which our lad reacted to. But same player, but it's just, that's twice this season we've seen this off their feet lad just coming in, not even looking for anybody's player safety. It's not just on this. I mean, you see it on television as well on some of the games where players are just coming in off their feet, and just find I think it's getting a wee bit dangerous for, and needs to be sorted out a bit more from a refereeing point of view. Look, referees have been brilliant all season, not taking away from anything. It's just a personal thing that I just seem to notice, that this thing of players just completely going off their feet with no intention but to do damage. I know you have to clear out rucks, but if you look at I just noticed now a couple that have been pure and utter just in there to do damage. Anyway, we'll move on.
So in other words, Tom, you're telling us to watch Clondalkin on Sunday.
Yeah, you could. Look, no, they're a good side.
They are a good side.
Look, I'm not taking this. Is nothing to do with Clondalkin. That's just a general thing I've noticed at the moment. It's not. Clondalkin played a good game. They kept us in it. They had nothing to lose. Look, and you could see they were even happy. They were. It's funny to win the game and come off the pitch and not be happy, and the losing team were actually quite happy. You could see that they played well enough. They have a couple of good players there. Number 7 actually have to compliment him. He didn't play the last day against us, but was really, really good. But you can't, as I said, you can't take away they've lovely facilities actually up there. I haven't been there really since they moved there. Like the amount of work that they've done in 3 years, with new pitches and clubhouse and everything is just unbelievable. So look, they're a good side, and not taken away from them. We weren't as accurate. We should have been. A lot of ball going, drop balls. Our line-out performed well, but our maul wasn't up to 100%. It was breaking off. It was breaking off. They're all small details. Look, we've a massive game against Gorey this weekend. Like regardless of the result against Gorey and Carlow, that's you're going down to Gorey is a tough place to get a win, and the crowd are loud, and they're very proud down there. So look, they'll be looking for a fight back against us this weekend, and we just have to be completely. I believe we can win that game if we play the way we can play, but we need to sharpen our pencil this weekend. The lads know that. I mean, they were disappointed themselves. There was no point in going on about going into details on it. It was just small little issues. They're all everything can be fixed. They're not. There's nothing really. It's the same as any sport. You can fix these things. They're small issues. They just need to sharpen their pencil. I know they will. It's hard going up to the likes of Clondalkin on a Saturday and knowing that you've already had a good win against them, and it's just. But they need to be on form this weekend. Gorey are a good side. They're improving too, and they're fighting to get every point they can as well. So it won't be an easy battle going down there. You've a couple of injuries going in. So the red card didn't help either. But sure, we give that game a blast. I better say we scored. We had John Lyons, Risa Edgehill, Sean Raftery, who's fine young fellas getting a couple of runs at the first. He scored 2 tries. Ben Crotty and Wes Shirley scored as well. As I said, like we're off down to Gorey at the weekend, so we'll look forward to that. It should be a ding dong battle and a good game. Our seconds had a massive win. They won 62-0. The seconds have been going well. They have almost top of the table clash again with Gorey this weekend. So it's 2 big games, 2 massive games. As I said, down in Gorey this weekend, the J1s are playing at 2:30, and the J2s are playing at 1:00. I just wanted to call out the seconds team last weekend because all these players have been playing unbelievable all year and definitely deserve a mention. The front row was Martin Mullins, John Farr, Nolan Edgehill. Second row was Thomas Whitney and Anto Kelly. The back row was Callum Fisher, Dermot Long, Paddy Mackey. Halfbacks then was Noah Cope and Luke Chatton. Wing Ben Deacon. The centres were Rory Dunbar and Martin O'Neill. Opposite wing was Daniel Donovan. Full-back Peter Hennessy. And then the bench was Caleb Oglesby, Sam Dunn, Oisin Hart, Conor Moore, Josh Cope, Liam Slater, and Noah Oglesby. The lads deserve it. I have to give them a mention because they've been training so well. They've been hammering off our first team, and you have to have a panel to improve, and they've just been phenomenal all season. So, and Paddy Mackey as captain has done a super job with them. So hats off to those. The women would travel to Birr. It was a horrible day. It was rainy and windy, kind of in the first half. But we were playing with the wind, and Birr they're second in the table. We're third, but they've a very, very strong pack with a heavy pitch. And then we turned at half time, and it was definitely a game of 2 halves. As we turned, so did the wind, and the wind picked up. It was nearly blowing me off my feet on the sideline, which is not an easy job. And it ended up that game ended up 38-7. So they were sort of outgunned. It's unfortunate. Like I said, they're up a division this year. They're learning day by day. There's some phenomenal girls some have only just picked up rugby ball for the first time. I just give a couple of girls a few mentions there. Maureen, Nee Coughlin, and sorry now for the pronunciation of that, Maureen, if it's wrong. Val Timmins, Jay Collins, Becky Fahy, Niamh Gray, and then just across the board, they've improved week on, week out. They're just and a really, really great bunch of women, because they're involved in the club. They socialise well. They organise stuff. They've been an absolute shining light in the club since they started back last season. They've no game. The women have no game this weekend. So our J3s are out this weekend. Well, their J3s are playing Lansdowne at home in the Metro in Carlow at 2 p.m. on Saturday. And there's a lot of the young lads, a lot of lads from last year's 18s, and a few older lemons back as well coming into that one. So it should be a bit of crack there on Saturday. As I said, the lads are enjoying it, and probably a few pints in the bar after that. The youth last weekend, under 13s, had a great win against Balbringan 26-48. John Lyne, the two senior players are coaching those, John Lynes and Evan Gordon. They're doing a great job, so they're flying. The rest of them so good. Under 14s was off, under 15s was off, under 16s was off, and the under 18s had a very good win over Eden there in the league, 24-5. Got a few fixtures coming in with the youths this weekend. Under 13s are home Friday night 7:30. Under 18s are home. Under 13s are home to Wexford at 7:30. Under 16s are home to Portlaoise at 7:30 on Friday night. On Saturday, our under 14s are away to Carlow at 1 p.m. Our under 15s are home to Wicklow at 11:30. And then the 3 games on Sunday our 2 games on Sunday. Our under 18s are playing Portlaoise, and our under 16s are playing Portlaoise, and our under 18s are playing at home to Byrne at 1 p.m. And that is really it.
Lovely.
I think that's it. I
was just thinking there, Paddy, like you mentioned, or Tom, you mentioned Paddy Mackey's name a few times. He's been some servant to you since he rocked up, hasn't he?
Well, he's but sure, he's just been, a guy arrived in and was sort of like, "G'day, I'm Paddy," and he met his partners from Blanchfield. That's how he ended up back here, and just came into the club. And that's what, nearly 4 years ago now, and has just settled, has his house. Just I swear he was there. You know, I swear he's born and bred Carlow, except for the accent. Very passionate about it. Very, very passionate about the club, very passionate the lads, and I think he took on the role of seconds captain this year, and he's just been in it. Look, he's such a great guy, really, really great guy, and a nice fella on and well, I won't say on the pitch, but definitely off the pitch. I see Paddy, my daughter's gone over to the dark side on Saturday. She's playing and starting for you against Bowls.
Oh, go away. Fair play to her. Happy girl. That's great. That's great. That's what we want. Yeah.
That's great for the peace process, isn't it?
Exactly. Now, don't be
peace process.
Don't be starting it now, James. I presume, Tom, that's a dual status arrangement, is it?
Yeah, the dual status game by game. I think you were short 1 or 2 this weekend, and they gave us a phone call. So
handy to have.
Well, I'd be delighted to tell all my Tullow compatriots tomorrow up in Seapoint that we are now the dark side. Okay.
Yeah, the dark side.
I have to run off there, lads.
You probably it's the old rivalry, you know. So.
The dark side. That's a good one.
James has left the conversation. James from Kilkenny Rugby Club. We'll wrap it up there, lads. James just said we've got all our local news out of the way. Unless you want to add your feelings about the Champions Cup last weekend and what's to come this weekend. Leinster
have 8 changes, I see. So that's a few big names back. So it'll be interesting to see. And Josh Ione in the subs. So he's not delivering in the same way that Jordy Barrett did, but it's good to see the competition. Ringrose is back, and Henshaw is rediscovering some of his form. So a little bit of competition there in the centre is no harm. Good to see.
Hardy at 10 as well.
That's right, yeah. It's good to see Jimmy O'Brien back as well. And Kenny is going from strength to strength on the wing, isn't he?
out, isn't he? He's fantastic. So he is. There's a little live wire, like, and a strong tackler as well.
Very hard to stop. Very hard. Himself and Tommy O'Brien are very hard to stop.
Yeah, Paddy, I didn't see the team. Who's 10?
Jimmy O'Brien full back. The 3/4 is Josh Kenny, Henshaw, Ringrose, Tommy O'Brien, halves Harry Byrne, Gibson Park, front row Boyle, Kelleher, Furlong, second row a strong second row Ryan and Snyman, and the back row Deegan, Doris and Bandaflyer.
Yeah.
So
I'm actually glad to see Harry Byrne there, because I think he's stepping up. He's having a bit of a revival as well.
Big time.
He sure is. He's putting the pressure on Prendergast, and that's all you want, isn't it?
Did you see the look Prendergast gave him when he took the ball off him to kick the penalty to win the game?
Yeah, absolutely, and he proved a point, didn't he?
Yeah, well, that's what you want from your 10. You know,
absolutely.
If every 10 was that confident and that you know, that determined, we'd all be delighted.
That's right, yeah.
Sam had a good game.
He did, absolutely, yeah.
He actually did a try save and tackle as well, or two at one stage, so, you know, and not too bad. Munster team is out as well. Craig Casey's made a miraculous recovery. He was
talk of him being out for the Six Nations, and he's starting on Saturday.
Yeah, so he's
definitely must have got that one wrong.
Yeah, he was doing a bit more shouting than what the injury was, I'd say. But Jeremy Lockman, Niall Scannell, Ala Latoa, then you've John Klein and Finian Wycherley, Tyke Byrne, Jack O'Donoghue and Gavin Coombs, Craig Casey and Jack Crowley, Ben O'Connor's in the left wing, Nankiville and Farler in the centre, and then you've got Tacker Abrams on the right wing, Shane Daly is full back. So Michael Milne, Jaeger, Byrne, Dogbo, they're all on the bench. Gleason's on the bench, Coughlin, Hanrahan and Kelly. So,
well, they have to win. They have no choice. If they don't win, it's out, basically. So, which wouldn't be good.
They like doing it the hard way, don't they, Tom?
Yeah, but it's kind of doing the hard way, Paddy. But it's not good for Irish rugby if only one team is in the championship.
Oh, true, yeah, and they really deserved to win last week. I thought it was very hard done by.
They're still trying to figure out what the hell that penalty taking the space is.
Terribly soft.
And an awful, even referee, a couple of referees are scratching their heads as to what exactly that was.
Yeah, Owen Doyle had a very interesting article. He does it early Wednesday in the Times, and he was a great referee himself in his own time. And he said there's an unwritten rule among referees that you never let a referee win a match. It's not written down in the rule book, obviously, but his point was, if it's a 50-50 decision or even a 60-40, you don't create a situation where the ref wins the match. And it's a very valid point.
Well, it was a Toulon player that came around. He cleared up, but he actually drove, I think it was Jack Donoghue round. Yeah. And that's actually becoming a big a thing at ruck time. This thing of defenders hitting now, they hit straight, but they're lifting the leg and driving a lad around the back. And a lot of it is when you're
goes off to seal it off.
Defense, you're trying to upset the attacking scrum half, and they started to
penalise trouble for it at the weekend.
They're starting to penalise that, but it was a similar way, except for they were attacking, you know. And Ty Byrne looked at the referee and then picked up the ball, you know, and the referee didn't say not to do it. Like, the ball was sitting there. What do you expect? It was out in the open.
It was unfair.
There was no one in front of him.
See, a lot of teams trying to slow down Leinster as well, Tom, using the same tactic. The tackle is swing around the back, and sort of almost get in the way. You know, slowing down the scrum half. And
Leinster have been very good at that. This season, the early on games, they had a whole review of that rule, or that the way the referees are going to be refereeing it. Yeah. Because I know, like, we've actually had 2 penalties against us in Carlow, where again, like, the guy comes in straight but lifts the outside leg and then drives around, but the referee is looking at this. I don't know, at our level, he's looking at that a player is coming in sideways, because as he lifts, he's turning in sideways.
Yeah,
but you're not technically coming in. You're joining the ruck straight, but you're driving around the back. I think there's a big clampdown on that anyway. So,
or do a big tackle and swing the legs in behind on the wrong side, then sort of take your time getting up.
Yeah, and I see Ulster got the points. Ulster got the points for last weekend as well.
Yeah. Strange one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and got a bonus point win.
Yeah, you get the full allocation, Tom, as per the rules. If you can't provide a venue and you can't provide for the match to go ahead, the opposition team gets the full amount, which is a full bonus point, full score. So 28, 4 tries.
It's a bit stupid in this day and age for a professional team to arrive at a pitch and to be called off after they're tugged out.
And that was the second pitch, wasn't it?
That's right. Yeah. Two pitches called off. Yeah.
You're not finding Astro, so.
That one, the one that the second pitch we're going to play on was an Astro, and it was like playing in the fucking park. It was like, you know what I mean? Yeah, sure. It was like I was looking at pictures of it. There's a wall on one side of it, and there's trees, and like mammies pushing buggies over the other side of it. It was, it was a rugby pitch, but it was in the middle of a residential sort of area, sort of thing. So. Astro job, and they swept up all the snow off the Astro, but it was still too hard, and temperature was barely above freezing as well. So, but it's a mad one. It's a mad old rule, all right. Yeah, lads, we'll wrap it up. Go well the weekend. Best of luck, and enjoy the rugby on the telly as well. You've got Champions Cup back in action this weekend, and of course, there's all these other little stories of the Six Nations team to be named or the squad to be named soon as well. So. Lots going on and all little side stories as well. Go well the weekend and take care. Paddy Browne, Tom Crotty and James Blanchfield.
Cheers, Stephen.
Cheers, Stephen. Take care. All the best.